technical talk, which is on FSI licensing and registration for meat and poultry microprocessing unit. Now I would like to introduce Dr. R. Vidya ma'am, who is a professor and head of TFSQT NIFTEM Thanjavur. I would quickly like to introduce ma'am to you. She received her master's in agriculture biology microbiology from Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, Coimbatore, and PhD in biotechnology from Shastra, Thanjavur. She joined the institute as a scientist in 2024. In 2004, she is an active member of the Center of Excellence on Grains, contributing to grain research and its quality analysis. She is an expert in microbial safety and quality testing of foods. She has published numerous research papers in peer-reviewed national and international journals. She is a reviewer for reputed journals in food microbiology and food processing. Her key areas of work include probiotics, microbial secondary metabolites, and food fermentation. Thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation. The session is over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, very good afternoon to all of you. I know I'm just in the very peak hour of the lunch actually. So, not to take too much of time, so let me start with the food safety standards regulations, because as FBOs, it is very mandatory that you need to have a food license to pursue a business in meat and meat products. So before going into the actual criteria of obtaining the license, we should know this license is being issued for good manufacturing practices, which is being laid down by the Food Safety Standards Act in part 4 of the Food Safety Standards Regulation. So you have in part 4 actually you have certain specific hygienic and sanitary practices that needs to be mandatorily adopted by food business operators who are engaged in manufacturing, processing, storing and selling of meat and meat products. So you can read this compedum actually, since it is short of time. I don't want to go into this, but this compedum on licensing and regulation speaks on the good manufacturing practices to be adopted by meat and meat product sellers and processors. So what does it speak in brief? I can just tell you. So first, it speaks on the general requirements like an NOC, a no objection certificate from a competent authority of licensing to be obtained from the FBO who is going to pursue a business in meat and meat products. So this is apart from the license or the registration, what I'm telling you. And the how the slaughterhouse should be. So how the flooring of this slaughterhouse should be, how the ceiling should be, and what are all the segregations to be maintained in the slaughterhouse. You should have a separate hall to hold the live animals. You should have a separate hall for different species of the meat, actually for different for pork, different for goat. So likewise you should have different halls for slaughtering for different species, and you should have all the equipments and the whatever tools you are using to be made of SSS. It should be of a non-corrosive material. And the process of stunning is also mentioned here, how the animal should be stunned. That's mandatory requirement before slaughtering. And an ante-mortem hall, a post-mortem hall. So you should examine the animal before slaughtering and after slaughtering. And there should be some segregation of animals which are deceased, the byproducts, the hides, the skin, the carcasses, everything needs to be segregated and stored separately. And personal hygiene of the staff who are involved in this process, they should be vaccinated from any epidemic or endemic diseases. Likewise, the animals also should be vaccinated 30 days priorly, see if they are coming from any epidemic area. And transportation of the animal should be very much taken care of, because animals should not be handled in an inhumane practice, or more stress should not be given to the animal, because that will greatly affect the quality of the meat as well. So there's all these guidelines have been given in this licensing regulation under the specific hygiene and sanitary practices to be adopted. And this is open in the public domain, which you can very well read whenever time permits. It is mandatory that we adopt to such practices as specified in this law. Secondly, the Food Safety Standards Authority of India, who are the regulatory body to permit us to carry over business in food actually. So earlier to 2006, we had different commodity orders. Like even for meat, we had a separate commodity order. But now everything is pooled under one umbrella, which is the Food Safety Standards Authority of India. And the act was enacted in 2006. So thereon in 2011, the regulations were framed, and from there on continuously there's a lot of amendments, there's a lot of updations which are happening in the regulations on a day-to-day basis. So the main function of this regulatory body FSSAI is to lay down science-based standards for any articles of food and to regulate the manufacturing, storage, distribution, import and sale of the commodity. And not only that, the main aim is to ensure quality and safe and wholesome food among the consumers. So you can see like this Food Safety Standards Act, uh, you can just read it. This is also available in the public domain, and the regulation is also available. So apart from that, we have different commodity orders. Actually, you can see there are different commodity orders. So different commodity orders are given under food products standards and food additives. Then we have contaminants, toxins and residues regulation. We have a regulation for packaging. We have a regulation for labeling. And you can see like for fortification, for health supplements, I've just only kept some important regulations here. So how to obtain a registration or license from FSSAI is spelled out in licensing and registration. And what are all the specific hygienic sanitary practices which I just briefed you is also given in this licensing and registration regulation. So let us see like first how to obtain a registration or license to carry over the food business. It is mandatory in the country for all food business operators to get themselves either registered or to obtain a license in accordance with the procedures which is laid down in the Food Safety Standards Licensing and Registration of Food Business Regulation 2011. Okay, so as per this regulation, a petty food manufacturer means any food manufacturer who manufactures or sells any article of food either by himself or he may be a petty retailer or hawker or itinerant vendor. So he may have a temporary stall holder also, or he may distribute food, including distribution of food in social gathering. Okay, and any other food businesses which include small scale or cottage level processing. So a cottage level or small scale processing having an annual turnover not exceeding 12 lakhs, so they fall under the registration category and they are called as petty food manufacturers or petty food business operators. So it is sufficient that they obtain a registration certificate from the authority. Apart from this, you have a license. So this license is categorized into two categories, a state license and a central license. And for state license, the annual turnover from 12 lakhs, about 12 lakhs and up to 20 crores need to possess a need to obtain a food license under the state, and whoever has got an annual turnover about 20 crores need to obtain a central food license. So apart from this, the meat and meat processing industries who are processing, you can say like above 100 animals or about 2 metric tons. So they are all covered under the licensing authority. So some of the mandatory documents which needs to be procured, which needs to be uploaded in the website. So this is all an online process now, and you can see here. So this is the website actually, foscos.fssai.in. Okay, so you can just log into this website and you can, under the tab registration, you can just click in, given a valid email ID and mobile number, and you can just apply for a new registration. So to apply for this new registration, you need to have a photo, a government issued photo ID and proof of address of business. So the requisite information needs to be filled in and you can submit the application. So for license, if you see like, so additionally, there are certain important documents in addition to be procured. Like you have to give the analysis report, both chemical bacteriological report of testing of water stating its potable quality, the list of equipments, the list of directors, the blueprint of the processing unit, and certain, and you have to uh, you have to spell out your KOB. KOB means kind of business. You have to spell out your kind of business, whether you are a processor, whether you are a transporter, or you are a distributor. So what kind of business are you into, and what is the role which is being played? So that needs to be clearly spelled out in the kind of business. And underneath you have to specify what are all the commodities which you are going to handle under your kind of business. So all this needs to be listed out, and appropriately you can fill the form and submit the application. So if at all required, for registration, it is a 30 days period. So it is not mandatory that you may have an inspection, but if the authority, if the competent authority wanted to verify the premises for compliance to the part for what I already told you, which is the sanitary and hygiene requirements to be maintained by the FBO, so he may verify upon it, or otherwise you will be issued a registration certificate within 30 days. And for licensing, it is mandatory that an inspection being carried over by the person who is issuing the license. If at all, if it is found non-compliance, you will be given some time to rectify accordingly and to bring it to compliance, and a license will be issued. So the license will be a 14-digit number. So this is how you have to go. First, you have to have your business plan, determine your yearly turnover. So based on this turnover, you can determine what is required for you, whether you require a registration or whether you require a license. In case if you want to have a license, what type of license is required. And accordingly, you can fill out the form, pay the prescribed fee, and submit the application. So the license of the registration will be a 14-digit number. So it is FSSL for a license and FSSR for a registration. So it's a mandatory requirement. You please print along with this FSSA logo, this alphanumeric registration or license number on the label. So here if you see, the first number will denote whether it is a registration or a license, and the following 2 digits will denote the state code, and the other 2 digits will denote the year of enrollment of the business. And the following 3 digits denotes the quantity of the enrolling master, and the last 6 digit will be the FBO's permit number. So these are the prescribed fees. So accordingly, you can pay the prescribed fees. And this is the website of FOSCOS, you can see. And this period of license is normally given for 1 to 5 years. And depending upon the fees, here you can see like, so what are all the norms to be met out, the eligibility criteria, other details. So everything is spelled out here, how to apply, how to track your application, and these are the tabs. So for registration, you can click this tab. For licensing, you can click this tab. So accordingly, before expiry of the license, you have to renew your license of registration and modify. In case any modification is there, any changes are there, you can accordingly click here. So coming to the food product standards and food additives, actually, so under this regulation, different types of food commodities are being spelled out. So if we see the subject of today's meat and meat products, so this is coming under 2.5. This is the fifth commodity in the regulation of food standards and food additives. So meat and meat products is coming under 2.5, and under 2.5 you have the 5.1 to be as the definitions, various definitions for the terminologies used under meat and meat products. And from 2.5 to onwards, you have a lot of commodities which are specified. So you have canned meat, you have smoked meat, and you have other type of heat treated meat, and a lot of other meat products which are specified under from 2.5 to onwards. And if you see like what are all the food additives to be used in processing of the meat products is listed in Appendix A. So this gives the list of food additives. I'm not presented since it is quite restrictive. So I have not presented all the additives. Certain important tables I have just kept here. So this is available in the public domain under this regulation. You can very well go and just see like what are all the additives to be used in what type of meat products you are using. Say for example, if it is going to be fresh, frozen, chilled, ground meat and poultry, so no food additives are permitted for usage. If at all, if you use any food additives for this category, then you are not allowed to sell such products. Okay, your sample fails for marketing, for consumption. It is not fit for consumption. So no additives to be used for this type of commodities. Say for example, it is going to be processed meat, poultry products in whole pieces or cut pieces. Then uh, a list of food additives is specified. Say for example, propyl gallate. So propyl gallate, which has got the INS number of 310, can be used in the quantity of 200 mg per kg. So this is the recommended maximum level of the food additive to be present in the processed meat and poultry products, which is whole piece or cut. So likewise, you can see fermented non-heated treated processed meat and poultry. So nitrates, the maximum recommended level for nitrates usage is 80 mg per kg. So likewise, colors which are to be added. So likewise, there are list of additives for different commodities which is given. And in Appendix B, there are two tables actually stating the microbiological requirement. One speaks on the process hygiene criteria and the other speaks on the food safety criteria. Process hygiene criteria gives you certain minimum maximum levels of permissible level of total plate count, yeast and mold, E. coli and staphylococcus. So this is concerning the handling of the meat in the processing area. Okay, so if it falls above the prescribed limits, then the sample becomes unsafe or unfit for consumption. And you can see here the different meat categories which are mentioned here, and their specific microbial parameters and the limits which are specified thereon. So under food safety criteria, you have all the food pathogens listed here, and all your samples should be absent for any of the food pathogens. That is why this table is called as the food safety criteria. You can see here some of the pathogens which are listed are Salmonella, Listeria, SRC, sulfite reducing Clostridia. Then we have Clostridium botulinum and Campylobacter. So all these five pathogens listed under the FSSR should be absent in the processed meat commodities. So we have the contaminants and the toxins regulation actually. So I think in the previous session, our sir was telling on the various toxins which are to be produced, or the various residues which are permitted, not permitted, like actually which are all not some like antibiotic veterinary drugs have been banned for usage. So in continuation to that, this contaminants and toxins will speak on what are all the maximum limits for the various metal contaminants like your lead, your cadmium. Certain levels are prescribed for that, and you have naturally occurring, we call it as NOTS, naturally occurring toxic substances. So these are some of the naturally occurring toxic substances, and you can see here for meat preparation, saffron for meat preparation and meat based products, the maximum limit is 10 ppm. This is a naturally present toxin. So this should not exceed 10 ppm in processed meat. Likewise, the residues, I've just given an example of the residual limits. So you can see the MRL, the maximum residual limit. There's a list of residues which are given actually. So for example, you can see here 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid for meat and poultry. So the maximum residual limit is 0.2 ppm, okay, or mg per kg. And likewise, you have acephate, so which should be at the maximum of 0.05 ppm. Likewise, there's a list of residues and their MRLs prescribed in the contaminants and the toxins regulation. So it is mandatory that you get your water tested, your commodity tested in an accredited laboratory. So that is specified in part 4 of the regulation. You have to get it tested and certified in a accredited laboratory, and like Niftum Tanjore has got a food testing laboratory which is accredited actually. And you can see this is the antibiotics. So what are all not permitted? The these antibiotics and the veterinary drugs are not permitted to be used in any stage of processing of meat and meat products. And likewise, the extraneous maximum residual limit is 0.001 mg per kg. Except for chloramphenicol. For chloramphenicol, it shall be 0.0003 mg per kg. So at even more lower limits. So this is the what the regulation speaks on. And it is mandatory that you get your water and the products tested in an accredited laboratory. And we do have a food testing laboratory which is accredited for chemical microbiological parameters, and we are also accredited for testing of food packaging materials also. And you can utilize our services to get your products tested. And thank you so much.
Now we are moving towards on the next technical talk, which is on banking and financial assistance, DPR, preparation to micro entrepreneurs. Now I would like to invite Dr. T. Senthil, Manager Technical State Bank of India, Administration Office, Trichy. He has more than 12 years of experience as a commercial banking professional and specialized in rural banking and schematic loan products and rural microcredits. He conducted more than 193 webinars and seminars, workshop training for the farmers and also for the other bank officers dealing with the agri-farming, agri-financing for bringing about the awareness of new technology, and published various journals and articles related to dairy science and technology. He was awarded as a young scientist by the Department of Science and Technology at Anna University, Chennai. I welcome you, sir, and thank you for accepting our invitation. The session is over to you, sir.
I thank NIPTM given the opportunity to State Bank of India, and I thank one and all who all participate in the webinar. I am Dr. Senthil from State Bank of India, Manager Technical from Trichy. The meat and poultry processing and value additions. Now, how to prepare the DPR? What is the importance of DPR? Why we need to prepare the DPR to start any project? To suppose if you have your own money, you don't worry about your preparation of DPR. Suppose if you are starting your projects, suppose for meat industries, meat processing unit, poultry meat processing unit, or any processing units, you need money. First of all, you need money. Without money, you can't start anything. Okay. For this, suppose if you are having the own money, you don't worry about DPR, detailed project. You don't want to prepare any report. Suppose if you are seeking any financial assistance from any bankers, in that case, you need to prepare some project report. Because that project report will give some outline idea to the bankers. What is it? What is why you are coming forward to the bank? What is the need of your project? Like that. Then the DPR will reflect your potential of the business. Then what is the project cost and operational cost? The entire DPR will reflect, okay, that what is the project? What is the cost? What is the margin? Okay, what is the financial parameters? Like that, DPR will be reflect. Then operational cost. What is the income? What is the expenses? Okay, like that, it should be mentioned in the DPR. Then DPR will reflect your technical and financial viability of the proposals. Technical means what is the forward and backward linkages. Apart from that, some of the parameters is included to start the project. That it should be included in the technical part of the DPR. Then financial part of the DPR means some ratios will be relevant to the project. For example, your project, means of project, margin, then DSCR, IRR, like that. So much of some financial parameters involved in that project. Based on the financial parameters, whether the project is viable or not viable, unviable. Okay, it will reflect your report. Then already I told that the report will be easily understand to the bankers. Then only your project will be taken up by the bank, any bank. Okay. Then suppose if you're seeking any subsidy, suppose if you're seeking any subvention from the government organizations, For that, in that case, you need to submit your DPR to the particular government department. For that, you have to prepare your detailed project report is mandatory. Suppose, what are the major points to be involved in the DPR? So first thing, name of the project. Suppose the meat processing unit or any, okay, that name should be captioned in the first page itself. Okay, whether it's the individual name or in the company name. Okay, suppose if it's in the company name, you should be registered in the MSME or Udayam portal. That should be in annexer. It should be enclosed in the as annexures. Okay, whether you can sort your processing unit either individual name or partnership or company or corporate, either farmers producer company, whoever may be eligible, you can start your project based on your name, but the name should be registered in the MSME or Udayam portal. Okay. Then what is the objective of your proposals? If you are sorting your projects means it should have some objectives. Okay, suppose the meat processing unit, what is the object? Suppose I'm increasing the production of, I'm increasing the value chain, I'm increasing the availability of processed food. Like that, this is a proposal. What is your proposals? What you are going to do? Okay, whether you are you are doing any value addition to in that any regular or irregular period. Okay, that you have to mention. Then what is the impact of that project? Suppose if you are sorting the project means, what is the impact in the local areas? Whether it will give the employment to the local peoples or it will increase the national income. Okay, like that you have to give some impact of your project. Then what is the capacity of the plant? 5 ton per day or 5 ton per hour. That is a major. Okay, the capacity of the plant should be mentioned very clearly. Based on that capacity only, your proposal will be calculated. What is the amount needed to the project? Okay, that bankers will decide based on the capacity only. Then, which are all the product involved? Suppose poultry means only the meat or any other. Suppose for quail or duck, any other species you are involving or only broiler you are involving. Okay, which product you are going to involve in that project. Then activity of the proposed project. Which are all the activities you are covered. Based on that, you have to mention in objective columns. Objectives should be very clear, or otherwise the banker can't understand about your proposals. Apart from that, the name of the proposals and objectives. This is the third one. Details about the promoters. This is the most important thing. Because who is starting the proposals? The promoters profile should be clearly indicate who is doing the activities. Okay, name of the promoters or partners or company. Then their details should be mentioned, PAN card, address and Aadhaar numbers or passport, whichever the details you are having, whatever the details you are having, you should mention in the proposals, in the DPR. Then registered address of the proposed activities. Where you are going to start, that address should be mentioned. Okay, clearly. This is the registered address of the proposed company. Then only the bank is easy to for the verifications of the proposed site. Then suppose if you are starting the activities in the local area in and around the branch area means the bankers will easily decide whether they will taken up the proposals or not. Like that, before you are starting the proposals, you have to just inquire with the bankers. Okay, locally available bankers. It's better. You can't struggle more. Easily you can get the sanction from your bankers. Okay. Whatever the details you are having, PAN, address, Aadhaar and passport and other registered address, whatever the proof, okay, that should be annexed in the DPR. Then educational details of the promoters, whether what is the experience, what is the educational details. Already they are having the suppose veterinarians, or suppose you are working in that any meat processing industries, CEO or like that. If you are having much experience means that is well and good. Suppose it doesn't have any experience. Suppose you are engaging any skilled labor and any other labors or managers like that, any experience that you are engaging in, the details you have to enclosed. Okay, you have to bring about in that DPR report. Suppose if you are having experience in the proposed activities, means how long you are having the experience, where you are gained the experience in the details also you have to mention. You doesn't have any experience, you should how you will run the proposals, how you will take up the proposal without ever having experience. Suppose if you are engaging some technical persons, the technical person details you have to include in the proposals. Now I am coming to that DPR. DPR will be divided into two parts. Okay, one is the technical aspects. It's broadly divided into two. One is the technical aspects. Second one is the financial aspects. Technical aspects means is nothing but locations. First one is the locations where you are going to start your proposals. That is the first thing. Location of land or location of the processing area where you are going to start the proposals. Address, that particular land address. You should have some address proof. Details of area, suppose 2 acres or 1 acres or 0.5 acres. Ownership, whether it is a own or lease. For this, you have to submit your annexer as. You have to submit your proof as annexer. Okay. Land, patta, sitta, adangal. If needed, whatever the documents needed, you have to submit it. Then site should be, suppose if you are going to purchase the land, that site should be easily accessible to the transport facilities or public also, or otherwise that marketing is very danger. Okay, so the accessibility and transport facilities should be easily available to the proposed site, and distance to the nearest town or bus stand or railway station or airport should be, you have to clearly mention. Suppose my proposed site is 25 kilometers away from the airport, 15 kilometers from the railway station. Like that, you have to mention, because the bankers will see the transport facilities, how they will transport the marketing the product like that. Okay, the first point is the location of the project is the most important thing. Then always the proposed site should be free from any encumbrance, should not have any legal issues. Okay, because that primary land, that proposed site is the primary land, it should be mortgaged to the bankers. That's why I'm mentioning it should be free from any legal issues. Okay, should be free from any legal issues. Suppose if you are seeking construction amount also for term loan also, means you have to get some approval for the land. Municipal approvals or panchayat approvals means you should get the approvals from the bank. Okay, any panel or legal valuation teams, you should get the approvals. Then all documents pertaining to the proposed site should be submitted to the bank, is most important thing. The details you have to mention in the DPR. In the meanwhile, you have to submit the papers, proofs to the bank, like patta, chitta and title deeds, easy and certificate copies and parent documents of the proposed site you have to mention and you have to attach in the DPR. Second one is the construction of buildings. Whatever the structures you need for the processing activities, for the poultry processing, meat processing activities, you should get the approval from the local. Okay, local panchayat or municipalities. Whatever the buildings, whatever the plan should be get approved. And you have to prepare some estimate for the proposed constructions. Suppose you are constructing 2,000 square feet or 5,000 square feet or 10,000 square feet, whatever the cost involved. Okay, with the help of local engineers, you have to prepare an estimate how much cost it will come, 2 crore or 1 crore or 50 lakhs or 1 lakh, like that. You have to prepare the estimate of that proposed construction. In that, you have to involve whatever the needs you want. Suppose for the receiving area, yard, processing hall, storage, lab, or staff quarters, or labor quarters, whatever the facilities you needed, you have to include in the proposals. Always the bankers will suggest. Okay, they will not omit anything. They will not give any restriction to the constructions. Whatever the structures is needed, that you have to include, or otherwise that extraordinary things you just away. Okay, you don't delete from the proposals. You don't add. After getting the sanctions, that amount they will release the amount, loan amount as per the stages to the engineers only, not to your individual's account or partner's account or company's account. Okay, that's why you need to get the estimate from the valued engineers. Then cost of the equipment. Third thing is the cost of equipment machineries. Whatever the machineries from the receiving area to transport, till the marketing. Okay, these all the machineries are include. You can include. The details of machineries you have to include in the DPR. What is the cost? You can include with tax also. Okay, with the GST you have to mention where you are going to purchase. With the company details also, you have, whether the company is already there in the field, whether they can able to supply the machineries. Okay, whether they are having that already they have installed any other erected, already they have erected any other processing industries. That just you go and visit the genuinity of, you can check the genuinity of the proposed company where you are going to purchase the machineries. Okay, then you can get the quotations from the company. The quotations include the GST. GST amount also we can finance. From the reception to end product, whatever it needs, you can include. But only one thing, you have to include you have to enclose as a quotations as annexures. That same thing, amount will be disposed to, whatever the machineries cost, that amount will be disposed to the dealers or suppliers. Fourth one is the raw materials. Here, the poultry meat, raw material is meat, poultry, where you are going to purchase the birds, which are all the farms. Suppose per day you are having the 5-ton processing capacity, means 5-ton where you will get the, whether you have any tie-up, that you have to mention. In the normal area, for example, I'm taking whether in the Palladam area we are going to procure the birds, means you have to give some tie-up regular, that you have to confirm to the bankers. I am getting the raw material, availability of raw material is sufficient. That banker should be satisfied. Okay, or otherwise you are having the own source, whether you are having the own farm, means no problem. Whether if you are going buying from open market, means that you have to mention where you are going. What is the raw material cost? What is the bird's cost per cage? How much you are going to purchase? Based on that only, your working capital limit will be arrived by the bankers. Then the project site, okay, should be nearer to the potential clusters. Your raw material site is be very easy to economical viability of the proposals. That site should be your processing site should be easily accessible to the raw material availability site. Okay, raw availability area. It may reduce the transport cost or operational cost. That's why, or rather than increase the viability of the proposals. Then you have to mention the seasonality of your raw material. Suppose birds, poultry birds means throughout the year you can get. What is the availability of cost and other things? Suppose how many days you can store the raw materials in your processing area, whether 1 day or 2 days or 5 days or 7 weeks, or directly or daily you are procuring you are transporting the birds from the farm to your processing locations, and that is how to be mentioned. Then process flow, with method you are going to, or processing technology, with technology you are going to adopt, because any processing activities, some methods has to be adopted. Okay, that method should be clearly indicates. You have to mention in the brief. Then water. Without water, the processing activity can't carried out. I know that everyone knows. So, what is the availability of water? Whether you are having an open well or a bore well, whether that you have tested the water test report, you should definitely have to test, because or otherwise any acidity or alkalinity, that machinery will be wasted, damaged. So you have to get your water test report. Whatever the, suppose if you are going to put any borewell or dig well, you can include in the project site also, in the DPR also. Okay. Then power. Power is the most important thing, because these are the aspects bankers will seek, whether you are having the water or power. Power is the most important thing for the processing activities. So whether already you are having the power, how much load is required for the power already, whether that concern you got it from the local EB department or not, or otherwise you can get the consent from the EB department. Okay. Suppose if you get if you have applied to the EB department, that receipt you have to include in the DPR. Manpower. Any processing activities, manpower is the most important thing, like skilled labor or semi-skilled or unskilled labor or technical persons. How you are going to engage, whether it is locally available or you are going to brought in from some other areas, that you have to be mentioned based on your quantity, based on your capacity. So 5 ton means how many labors are required. Okay, like that you have to mention, including the cost, how much you are going to spend for the labors, that you have to be mentioned per ton or per kg, like that. And project implementation, how long it will take for the implementation, for the production period from the sanction to your final product, how long it will take for the construction. Okay, that is how to be mentioned. Suppose for the preparation of land, 1 month, for construction of processing hall, staff, and other quarters like that, 3 months. And for a trial, it will take 1 month. Total, it will take for 1 year or 12 months like that. How to mention project implementation period is the most important thing. Then market arrangement and logistics support. How you will market your product once your goods is ready, where you are having any tie-up. Okay, how you are going to market your products. That is how to clearly mention. Suppose if you are having any tie-up means you have to mention. Okay. Then license and necessary approvals. Any processing activities, you should get some clearance from the government approval, from the government authorities, from local panchayat approval, Udayam, like food safety authority, or otherwise if you are doing any market or brand name, you should be get some approval from the government side that you should be included in the DPR, and same thing you have to enclose as an annexures. Then insurance is a must. Suppose the bankers give financial support to the individuals or companies means whatever the structures are created from the bank finance, you should have to insure from the any insurance companies. It's not compulsion from the bankers, but it should be insured. SWOT analysis. What is the strength? What is the weakness? What is the opportunities and threats available to the proposed activities, proposed project should be clearly indicated. It should be not to the common, it should be individual proposals. This is the financial. Next thing is the now we saw that only the technical parameters. Now we are seeing the financial parameters. These are the financial parameters you have to calculate and include in your proposals. This is the project outlay. How much? Suppose 2 crore. Within that margin, how much? 10 to 25% is the minimum margin. Okay, depends upon the scheme. It may be vary from 10% to 25%, or based on the viability, it may vary. Then what is the eligible term loan or CC? Then net present worth. Okay, these are the financial parameters. It should be positive. Which any proposal you are going to submit to the bankers, that NPW should be positive. Then PCR. PCR should be minimum 1. It should be below 1 means the proposal is unviable, not viable. So the bankers will not take the proposal. So the PCR should be 1. IRR, internal rate of return should be above 15%. You should not be below 15%. Okay, you should be above 15%, or otherwise the proposal will not be viable. Then average gross DSCR is minimum should be 1.75%. 1.75. It may be below 1.75 means the proposal is unviable. Then you have to clearly mention your margin. How you are going to suppose the 10 to 25% of margin I told you, how you are brought your margins, either in the liquid cash or you are showing in the bank account. That you have to clearly indicate in your DPR. Bankers will check. Then interest rate. Any processing activity now the interest rate will 8.5 to 9.5% is depends upon the activities, depends upon the scheme you are going to avail. So you need not worry about that interest rate. Interest rate is the banker concerns. First, if you are starting the processing activity, starting your business means you don't worry about the interest norms. Then loan disbursement. Already I told whatever the loan sanctioned, it should be disposed directly to the suppliers, not to the individual's account. So based on the quotations or estimates, whatever the summations of your bills, based on the bills only, the loan will be disposed to the suppliers, not to the individual's account. Then repayment schedule you have to mention in the DPR, whether it is a 5-year or 7 years or 9 years, depends upon the activity, it may be vary. That repayment scheduled you have to mention in the DPR. Okay, just I can share an example of a report. Yes, sir. For the financial part, This is a poultry farm. Okay, these are all the civil constructions. Okay, proposed layer shed. These are all the equipments. What are the equipments needed? This is a farm constructions. If you need the processing activity, means what are the equipments needed to the processing activity, you can add it. Okay, this is a total outlay, 68 lakhs. Okay, this is the margin 27 term loan amount is a 50 lakhs. This is a small. The depreciation. Depreciation schedule should be added, whether it is a existing or the new unit. Existing unit means existing structure should be brought. Okay, new unit means only the new structure should be brought to the depreciation schedule is a must. Based on that, whether it is it will be added in the financial parameters. This is a working capital limit. Okay, how many chicks, how many birds, what is the feed cost, grower or like that. Working capital will be calculated based on this only. Working capital margin is 25%. Based on the eligible, the bankers will sanction. Year-wise working capital. This is a layer form. This is the expense statement. Okay, year-wise, you have to prepare your projections. What is the cost of your expenses? Total expense and income. Same way, you have to mention your income also. What is the income you are having? Then net income. Net income, depreciations, and proposed term loan and cash credit. Okay, this is a proposed term loan and cash credit. Then profit of before tax, tax is 30%. Then profit after tax. Then the cash accruals will come. Okay, then this is a repayment schedule. Okay, for the proposed loan amount, you have to mention year-wise, year on year, your repayment for the 50 lakhs. Then total repayment. What is the interest for your term loan? Okay, this is the interest for your term loan. Total repayment. Then I told you about the cross DSCR and the cross net DSCR should be more than 1.75, 2. Then cash flow analysis. These are all the things. These are all the things involved in the financial parameters. BCR above 1%. NPV, NPW positive should be positive. Internal rate of return above 15%. Here is the 84%. Then sensitive analysis also should be considered. Should be considered for the cost increase. Suppose now you are doing your proposals at present. It may be vary after implementations. May the cost may increase 5% or 10% from the original cost of now as on date. Then your benefit will may be decreased now 5 to 10%. So based on that, we need to analyze your sensitive analysis also. You have to include in the DPR. Okay. Okay. Back to. Yes. Before you are availing any loan from any bankers, you should check your CIBIL status. CIBIL status is the most important thing. You doesn't have any write-off. Okay, any default from any bankers. So you should check your CIBIL score before going to avail any loan from the bankers. These are the common schemes available in State Bank. Agri Infrastructure Fund, AIF scheme. Then financing to the processing units. Agri Enterprise Loan and KSR. Agriculture Marketing Infrastructure and financing to the Farmers Producer Company. And already PMFME and Produce Marketing Loan are various received Stand Up India and Mudra loans. These are all the common loans to the processing units. First, KSR need not worry about that. This is particularly for the crop loan activities. Agri Enterprise Loan. Here, the Agri Enterprise Loan is the most important loan available in State Bank of India up to 5 crore without any security. You can avail all processing unit, food processing unit, agri exports, agri input and manufacturing units, farmers producer companies. Okay, these are the target groups. You can avail the loan up to 5 crore. Okay, purpose of loan is agri allied agri and allied activities. Okay, or processing activities. You can include your processing activities also. Maximum loan 100 crore. Okay. Here that the primary property should be mortgaged to the bank. Apart from that, up to 5 crore, you need not worry about give any collateral securities. Then agri infrastructure fund. Here up to 2 crore without any security, you can avail the loan up to 2 crore. AEL up to 5 crore. Here up to 2 crore. Okay. Here the government is given some interest subvention of 3% for the period of 7 years under infrastructure fund. This is also for the processing activities. These are all the activities we can cover under agri infrastructure fund. These are all the activities you could cover. Any value added processing activity, any value added units you can have, you can include in that, you can avail the loan under the sector. Here the margin is only 10%. Okay, up to 2 crore, 10%, above 2 crores means 25%. Yes. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful presentation. So now we are moving to the next technical session, which is on entrepreneur experience sharing. For this, we are inviting Javed Mulani, sir. He's Assistant General Manager in Shanti Feeds Private Limited. He will talk about the sustainable chicken meat production through animal welfare practice experience sharing. Let me introduce first. Yeah, he completed his MBA in Business Management from NMIS Mumbai and postgraduate in Food Meat Hygiene from Bombay Veterinary College, Parallel. He was worked with the OSI Vista Processed Food Private Limited for 10 years and responsible for sourcing, monitoring, and developing protein raw material suppliers with global best standards and auditing the poultry integration system. He was a global USA and Asia Pacific region auditor for chicken processing plants and IRCA certified lead auditor of FSSC 22,000 and assessor for the Food Safety Award in this Confederation of Indian Industry. He is presently working as Assistant General Manager Operation in Shanti Feed Private Limited, India, and responsible for the operation of primary chicken processing and further processing plant. He is working on the implementation on total productive maintenance and lean management in the poultry processing plant. He is a national level resource person in the food safety standard of India for poultry meat and its meat product. Thank you for accepting our invitation, sir. The session is over to you. Thank you so much.
First, I would like to thanks to NIP team director and all organizer for giving me opportunity to speak on sustainable chicken meat production through animal health and welfare practices. First, I would like to do a brief presentation about my company because the seminar will start with entrepreneur. So I'm working in Shanti Feeds Private Limited, which is a Coimbatore-based company, and it is a vertical integrated company. So we have own our better farm, hatchery, feed mill, boiler farm, and chicken processing plant. So group turnover is around 3,200 crore. So coming to our chicken processing plant, it is India's largest chicken processing plant. So we have our plant having capacity 1.2 lakh bird processing per day, and our plant is certified with BRCGS, which is first in India with GFSI with the BRCGS, then FSSC 22,000, 45,001, 9,001, 14,001, and recently our plant has internal lab is accredited with NABL, and we are the first company in Asia Pacific to get the animal welfare certification from NSF. So which is more related to our topic, and we are supplying our chicken majorly to leading QSR like KFC, Domino's, Subway, McDonald's, Indian Army. We have a good volume of export, then e-commerce like Jepto, Licious, and in Horeca business. So these are content of my presentation. I will go to welfare breakdown, then tipping point, then what is consumers' perception about animal health and welfare, then what is regulation in India, then what is best practices at boiler farm and plant, how to judge the better welfare, and how to go forward. So if you see in the presentation also Mahesh has described the demand of animal protein is increasing in our country, and poultry meat is a very cheap source of the protein. And nowadays, due to more transparency, the consumer perception about food is increasing. So they want food from a healthy animal. And if you come with our Indian context, we have fourth largest broiler meat producer in the world, and we want to be lead in the world, so that we have to make sustainable poultry business model. So one of the factors is animal health and welfare, which can be helpful to make our better commercial as well as welfare key welfare indicators. We can call KPIs. And nowadays, from NGO and other bodies has increasing more pressure to on government also to come with better animal welfare policy. And there is continuous demand from QSR and retail market also to implement the good animal welfare practices. So all QSR are coming with their own standard, and they will audit facility, and then only they will approve the facility for sourcing of chicken meat. So how to make animal welfare good? So when we can say animal is coping with the condition, then we can say ki its animal is welfare is good. So and animal welfare is good state for welfare if it is healthy, comfortable, safe. They have to express the natural behavior. They don't have to suffering from any trace or pain. And for that, it requires like disease prevention, like veterinary care program, because it is a live animal. Then appropriate shelter management, human handling, and human slaughter. So I will more cover on this four part. Like human, birds also need some five freedom. Whatever I have explained previous slide now, how to make a better animal welfare. So we have first give to five freedom to birds, like hunger, thirsty, malnutrition. We have to provide the balanced nutrition with 24 hours water. Then freedom from the discomfort. So house has to be proper. There will be no any elements to cause pain, injury, or we have to ensure that disease free zone. Then freedom for fear and distress. And the birds has to be express their natural behavior. So like dust bathing, they have to fly. So we have to make some small arrangement inside the farms. Coming to the tipping point of animal welfare, people will be more confused because animal health welfare. If you see the health, if animal having good health, then only we can say welfare is good. So always we have to speak like animal health and welfare. It will be good for industry as well as to understand the people, our customer also. And actually it is misunderstood because now 2021 I have attended one seminar in IFA, Germany. So I have taken this photo during my session. So one German lady is stand for to give the presentation, and some NGO came and they are stopped this its presentation, because this presentation is on animal welfare. They are asking there is no welfare, why you are killing the animal? But it is not a truth, okay? Because there is an increasing in demand of the animal protein, and we have to slaughter the birds. But during this, we have to take care of the welfare. Regarding consumer perception, if you see in front photo, because due to improper handling, there will be chances of more purchase on meat parts, and definitely customer would be find out what is the reason. They will go for Google, they will find something, and it will be related to disease like that. So it is importance of the animal welfare. You have to handle the birds carefully. So if your product is good, definitely it will be good for chicken consumption. If you see the welfare affecting factors, so like hatchery, farm, stunning, slaughter, it will be affect on more on the product quality. So you can see only that shackling one parameter can be affect more on the quality of the product than killing and processing. So it is not ki we have to grow the birds good
Sorry
in
to
the farm.
interrupt you, sir. So your slide is not moving.
Now,
No, sir. Actually, you have to put in a slideshow mode.
which slide number, madam? Now
It's
is
a
visible?
now it is moving, sir. Your ninth slide, sir.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
So
thanks,
hope
sir.
earlier slides are visible or not visible?
Yes, sir. It is. It's moving, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Then it will be affect on the product. And always consumer link the animal health and welfare to the product quality and safety, because if foods come healthier, it's good for health. It will be more healthier, better quality, and ethically produced food will be always good to eat and safe to eat. In coming to our Indian context, we have two regulation for one is for domestic food safety standard authority of India. One of the madam has described about the what is the requirement. In that requirement, they define about the welfare of the birds also, how to catch the birds, how to transport the birds, okay, how to keep the records of performance. Then we have to make a medication. If there any sick birds is there, we have to euthanize. Then we have to follow the stunning process. Coming to Export Inspection Council of India, if we are exporting the chicken meat to the any countries, then we have to follow their country specific standard as well. EI also will be randomly select your farms and they will keep audit. So we have to make a self audit. We have to, they will nominate our veterinarian to see the compliance of the animal welfare. And they given some brief background about the welfare finding, like key welfare indicator. And when we are sending any sample, then our veterinarian has to be give the attestation to the EIC. This is central view of the farm at chicken at farm level. So birds needs better face, better comfort, health, better antibiotics, because if there is any disease, yes, we have to treat that birds and we have to follow the withdrawal period. Then better manure, it is litter condition, better feed, like balanced nutrition. So as per birds requirement, we have to provide the feed to the birds. And then better monitoring and implementation of the all systems. These are the typical houses of the boiler farm. So Dr. Mahesh has taken through all different types. So this is like solid side one. So mostly industrial purpose people are doing this modern slaughterhouse, boiler farms. And conventional having curtain side one. In curtain there will be a power ventilation, natural ventilation. But in India, most of the more than 95% farms are open sided houses, because it is belongs to the contract farming. So farmer will be grow the birds and give to the integrator company. Coming to, if we have environmental farm, then there will be chances of quality of the air, then ventilation, humidity. So in this case, we have to be monitor the all parameter in the farm. So it will be helpful to maintain the proper welfare of the birds, health, and keep the all economical KPIs in the limit. So when we are placing the chicks, we have to determine the size of the length width of the farms, then how much is space. So generally in 1.2 square feet is considered in open sided houses. Maximum stocking density will be 30 kg per meter. In EC sets, we can increase the stocking density of the chicks, because all environment is controlled by mechanical. So in that case, maybe stocking density will be increased. In chick stage, we have to make a proper brooding management in terms of temperature and humidity, so that there will be no any mortality. We have to develop this migration barrier once we place the chicks to avoid the injury to the birds. It is easy to give the vaccination and handling of the birds. It will be helpful for brooding management also. In the poultry farm, the main key challenge is optimizing welfare in terms of the litter. Because it will be helpful to the cushion, making cushion to the birds. It will be liquidate the fecal material, and it will be helpful to make the innate behavior. So it will be recommended around 3 to 4 centimeter height of the litter material. If we are compromised with litter management, then there is chances of your more losses in terms of the condemnation. It will be affects health and welfare of the birds. You will get more downgraded carcasses at the your processing plant. Then more blisters in the breast. So breast will be the premium part. So it will be you will lose that part. Then put pandermatitis, because feet is has good requirement for export. So it would be loss. So ultimately, if we not maintaining the proper litter management, there will be a number of losses. So one of the major will be disease like coccidiosis, and there will be a big loss in the farm if you make if you are not taking care of the litter management. So if you lost performance, so more than $3 billion will be annual cost according in the one of the farm. Next is the water treatment. Actually, water meter indicates the how birds are working in the farms. So for that, we have to make chlorination of the waters to control the microbial. Then treatment of hard water. If your area having a more hardness, then acidifying the water to control the gut health. Then you have to be ensured that proper veterinary care program, that veterinarian has to be there in your farm. So it includes the disease prevention and treatment like vaccination, how to use the antibiotics. So you cannot use the antibiotics like prevention, but if in case any disease, you have to be treat that birds. Then biosecurity, bird health, regularly monitoring the birds also. And don't keep your birds in the dark. So you have to follow the some darkness period, like initially first week maybe 1 hour, after ages increase, that time maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, as per your breed requirement. You have to follow the darkness. And in case of EC shades, then there is a chances of more ammonia or maybe carbon dioxide, inspired dust will be chances. So that in that case, you have to be monitor the air quality regularly. The goal of the ammonia will be like 10 ppm, and we have to maintain the liter pH also. It will be has to be range between 9 to 10. And if liter meter is too dry also, it will be more problem due to inspirable dust will be more. So it has to be under the control. For that, you have to plan more in-house training to your team members like supervisors, your farmers, on how to identify the health and welfare of disease. Then we have to give more training on biosecurity of farm, environment condition. If you are making any mechanical system of ventilation, that concern worker, supervisor, and owner has to be aware of the system. If there is any emergency in terms of feed water, they have to aware. We have to keep a maximum feed and water in surplus quantity to avoid the any abnormal condition. These are the key welfare indicator has to be monitored at the farm level, like 7-day mortality maybe due to poor chick quality. It would be affect more on the mortality. Then total mortality, maybe there would be some bacterial, viral, or fungal disease would be there. So it should be less than 5%. Lake also maybe farm due to some nutritional deficiency or genetic problem. In terms of total culls, it would be due to poorly grown or injured limb, so it should be less than 0.5%. Then food pathogens, it will be majorly due to improper litter condition and nutritional factors in the feed. So it has to be less than 30%, and hog burns is to be less than 10%. Coming to the chicken slaughter plant, so far we have discussed about what animal health and welfare we have to take care at the farm. So now once before you are catching your birds, you have to take care of. We have to follow the feed withdrawal time properly. If it is too small feed withdrawal time, also it will be contaminate your carcass during the processing. And if it is higher, also the intestine will be more fragile, and chances of breaking of intestine will be more. So that you have to be follow at least 6 to 8 hours feed withdrawal time. It will be helpful to maintain the good quality as well as maintain the welfare of the bird. Then remove the obstacle that whatever we kept in during to avoid the migration. Then walk through the flock to remove the unfit or injured birds, because it's very difficult to hang the birds in the slaughtering plant. Then remove the water just before catching, so there will be no any water withdrawal time. And the light should be has to be dim. There will be no noise level, and you have to be catch the birds from front to back only. Okay, so if you are making left to right, then there will be more damage to the birds. Here, as per bird density size, we have to define how number of birds you are putting into the coops. Maybe it will be vary with your season, size of the birds. If small birds is there, you can put more. But you have to handle the birds with gentle. There will be no any injury, and there will be delicate more area like wings. So which part? This part will be more chances of damage during the catching. Then coming to transportation, it has to be ensured that all cages are proper. There will be no any holes to the uh, your coops. There will be no any damage. If there is damage, it has to be repaired properly. Okay, and you have to give training to your driver to understand the temperature of the temperature emergency breakdown problem, and he has to ensure that the vehicle is not hold in between the road. Once vehicle come to the plant, it has to be hold in the larynx, so it will be control the temperature, humidity uh, to accommodate. It will be helpful to reduce the stress on the birds, and it will be impact on your quality of the chicken also. You see the thermal trace, so it would be like a safe zone which control like at 20-25 degrees Celsius with 30 to 40% relative humidity. You can see in circle one bird is panting. It is indicates the we are not maintaining proper temperature and humidity in the larynx area. So at least 30 minutes you have to give the holding time in the larynx, and not more than 6 hours. And total time, if you calculate first part to last, will be less than 12 hours. Once bird we are taken from larynx, then when you are unloading, it has to be proper alignment, no tipping, tilting, quick raising, or rough movement. We have to gently remove the birds, and if you are making some automation, then it would be helpful to move the coops to the up to hanging area. If any birds is loose there, in that case you have to catch that birds and put it to the coops. If any birds found dead during hanging area, you have to remove that properly and keep into the DOA band. Then target of DOA also less than 0.5%. If it is more than, then it indicates a negative impact on the welfare of the birds. Any live birds into the DOA band or after coop washer, it will be not good for health and welfare of birds. Shackling. The shackling of birds will be with both leg shackling, and it shall be follow under the subdued light. And here we have to provide the breast guard, so that they have to be feel comfort. There will be no trace on the birds, and it will be helpful for the reduce the trace on the birds. From shackling to stunning, minimum we have to keep 12 seconds and maximum 6 seconds to avoid the trace on the birds. Stunning is we are making stunning to go the unconscious the birds prior to slaughter, because we are saying this is a human slaughter. So it will be helpful to human bleeding, calm the birds, and minimize struggling, relax feather. It will be stabilize blood pressure and heart rate. So it will be helpful to pump out all the blood from the heart. So there are three majorly types of the stunning: electrical, low atmospheric, and gas. In electrical, birds will be go in the water bath, and with electric current, with frequency and voltage, we can make the stunning. In low atmospheric pressure, we will remove the oxygen and put the birds inside the tunnel. In gas method, we have to add the CO2 into chamber. But in India, around 90, more than 95% chicken is halal. So we cannot use low atmospheric and gas, because in this chances of the death of the birds, and halal will be not allowed the death of the birds. These are the batch and individual process. In first batch will be some advanced equipment. It will be give the stunning to the particular birds. In individual, all birds will be go to the water bath electrical stunning. So for effective electric stunning, at least 12 seconds from hanging to entering stunning will be good. It has to be line has to be straight as possible after stunning. Breast comfort has to be given, and it has to be inclined during the water bath. And the goal of the stunning efficiency has to be 98%. So here majorly frequency and current is important. So at low frequency, high current, maybe more number of birds will be experience cardiac arrest. Okay, at low current, high frequency, also some less number, but here less number birds would be feel cardiac arrest. So mostly people has to be using a high frequency stunner to get the optimum current and frequency. Coming to how to adjust the reversible electrical stunning, how to judge. So first will be no collision, or there will be no natural blinking, neck arch, head will be vertical. There will be no any comb pinch. There will be there will be some body tremors will be there. Wing will be like rigid, no wing flapping. Some vibrating movement will be there, and big movement will be 10. And non-reversible, which means like near to dead. Fixed out dilated pupils, no rhythmic breathing, no corneal reflex, no response to comb pitch, lumpy carcass. And if you find any birds very small to hang, then in that case we have to be euthanize the birds. Means we have to kill with humane method. So mostly acceptable method is electrical stunning, cervical dislocation, percussion, gas, lethal injection. If you see the time between cervical dislocation is very less, so it is a more using method accepted. Not acceptable is blunt force trauma and decapitation. So these are the method how to stress the cervical dislocation. So we have to hold in finger, and we have to stretch. And once you get a confidence key, now cervical there is gap between the cervical vertebra, then you have to little bit stitch, but not crush. So next step is halal, because in halal is like a humane scientific method of slaughtering. So it will be helpful to remove all the birds. And before birds going into the scalding tank, it has to be dead. So best practice is during 8 to 10 seconds after stemming, we have to the halal, and minimum time is 90 to 120 seconds. We have to follow the bleeding time. In chicken processing plant also, animal health and welfare supervisor, we have to appoint who has to know the knowledge of the bird health welfare, then regulation, all aspects of birds, indicator, how to euthanize the birds, assess the quality of the birds. So these are the some key welfare indicator. Like DOA, it should be less than 0.5 percentage. Maybe it will be happen during transportation. Stunning efficiency has to be more than 98%. Broken wing and dislocated wing less than 2%. Mostly catching, maybe during shackling also chances of happening. Leg more rough catching and shackling. Bruises, it will be mostly how your farm condition is there. Blood blisters due to ammonia or wheat litter, it will be happen, but it shall be less than 2%. And now there are some certification, how to certify our plant or farm or hatchery, whether we have based welfare system. So there are three types of certification international, like NCC, they have guideline. Then Red Tractor in US, they have some set of the guideline. Now last year NSF also come with their global animal wellness program. So now our plant also our whole vertical system is certified with global animal welfare wellness, which is first in Asia specific region. So it contains all the guidelines. Basis this guideline, we have to develop the documents, we have to develop the system, and then third party auditor will be come to your site, and they will be verify all activities, and they will be issue the certificate if you are compliant with their requirement. To make the good animal welfare, so we have to follow some strategy to improve the health and welfare, like innovative best practice we have to follow at the farm level. Improvement of the key welfare indicator and commercial KPIs, it would be helpful to make your balance sheet also good. Research on animal welfare, so like Yanard Cement or any educational institute, they have to more focus on the how to focus on animal health and welfare, how to take some innovative ideas to in educational study also. Then animal welfare guideline has to be developed. Now FSSAI or EA having some guideline, but it has to be more elaborated with our existing practices. Then in India, we have more than 90% wet market. So they have to be formalize some regulation for a wet market also, so that a minimum animal welfare has to be ensured. Then consumer awareness. So we have to increase the awareness about the health and welfare of the birds, how we are taking care of the birds. Then it will be avoid for the misunderstanding about the chicken processing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we are moving to the next technical talk, which is on packaging solution for meat and poultry-based products. For this session, we have with us Dr. S. Ananda Kumar, Associate Professor and Head in Charge, DFPSD, NIFTEM Thanjavur. Prior joining to NIFTEM Thanjavur, I would quickly introduce Sir to you. Prior joining to NIFTEM Thanjavur, he has served as Assistant Professor in Department of Marine Technology, Biotechnology, College of Marine Science and Technology, and in Northeast Africa. He has more than 15 years of experience in teaching and research, and also specialized in designing of food processing equipment and development of sustainable food packaging material. He has developed many processing equipments and technologies like continuous type countercurrent form mat dryer, solar pack bed dryer, and many more. I welcome you, sir, in this, and thank you for accepting our invitation. The session is over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Right. So, good afternoon, dear participants. Thanks to Junaid sir for giving a wonderful presentation, particularly for the participants, those who are all interested in setting up the processing unit in meat and meat products. These sessions we will see what are the kinds of packaging materials, types of packaging machines or methods are used particularly for the meat and meat products. In general, when we say the food materials, we can have the classifications such a way like stable products. Particularly if you take the rice, grind cereals, it is a stable product. It will not easily spoil very quickly. We have medium perishable commodity like fruits and vegetables. And when we talk about this meat product, fish, poultry product, this will come under the category of highly perishable commodity, which means in the normal atmosphere, you can't keep this product for longer period. So you need some very good processing technology as well as proper packing and storage so that you can extend the shelf life of these commodities. And also, if you see nowadays, the demand for the processed meats in the global market it is getting increased. Even if you see India, almost 143 billion US dollar, we are getting what we can say the profit from this exported value. So in such a case, there are a lot of scopes, particularly in the processed meat in the global market. So when we come to the packaging, actually, if you see the packaging in the initial stage, particularly during the Second World War, in those days, if you see, normally what we will do, we will pack the product first, then we will go for processing. But nowadays it is totally changing. What we are doing, we are processing the food, then we are going for the packaging. Okay, even you can see there are some non-thermal technology is coming in the current era. So in such a case, what we'll do, we'll process the food items, then we will go for the packaging in some of the cases. Majority, particularly when we talk about the meat and meat product. So here, the packing first, then we will go for the processing. Particularly, if you see the canned meat items. So what we will do initially, we will pack the product in the tin containers, then it can be processed. So in such a case, the processed meat or packaged meat, it is coming in the beginning of 19th century, and there are a lot of changes in the processing methods, in the packaging material usage also. So in such a case, what kind of packaging materials currently it is suitable for packing of the meat and meat products, and what kind of advanced packaging machines are available that we can see. For example, why we want to go for packaging? As I told you, this product, which can be easily affected by the microorganism, even in the shorter period. Also, if the products are stored in the ambient conditions, in such a case, the microbial kinetics, the growth rate is 3 times or 4 times faster than the low temperature storage. So in such a case, if you want to control, either it can be airborne pathogens or it can be a microorganism which is present in the utensils or it is available in the processing center, whatever it may be. So if you want to control these microorganisms, so in such a case, after it is taken out from the butcher's shop, otherwise in the slaughtering shop, immediately it has to taken to the packaging line so that the growth of microorganisms or controlling of microorganisms can be very easy. And another thing, when we talk about the packaging, why we want to go for packaging of this kind of product, one is particularly to maintain the meat color, because in the meat we have this met myoglobin. Okay, so this protein, what will happen when it reacts with the atmospheric oxygen, so that will be converted into oxymyoglobin. So what will happen, the red color of the meat will become pale color. So when we have a proper packing methods, so that we can have restriction of that color changes. So it is very important. And another thing, the shelf life. The shelf life, when we say the quality as well as safety, the quality in the sense maintaining the color, maintaining the texture of the meat, maintaining the biochemical content of the meat, whatever it may be, and the quality, the safety in the sense microorganisms. So both the things can be controlled by the selection of the particular packing material. Another thing, that moisture loss are 3 plus. Okay, so what will happen whenever we store these meat products in the ambient conditions? So what will happen, the 3 plus from the cut surfaces, the tissues, the fluids which will be coming out. So these are all the things, once it is accumulated, so that will attract the bacteria and the growth rate will be very fast. So in such a case, when we want to reduce the moisture loss of 3 plus, then it has to be properly packed, sensory attributes, okay, the odor changes, particularly the protein converted to amino acids due to the microorganisms, contamination, spoilage, that will give odor changes. So that has to be controlled by selecting the proper packing materials. And here you can see a simple examples. There are different kinds of meat we are consuming, and we are exporting also. And this red color of the meat, it is also fixing the price value in different product. So particularly this red color of the meat is mainly due to this myoglobin which is present in the meat, and you can see the values are differ with the different kinds of meat samples, starting from beef, buffalo meat to the pork. So in such a case, that pork meat will have less myoglobin, that is 1 to 3 milligram per gram tissue. So based on that, what we can have the color, because the meat colors also will be one of the criteria in the selection of the product. So this will be varying. For example, if the myoglobin level is higher, if you do something like a vacuum packaging or some other kinds of packing, MAP or something, sometimes this myoglobin content will go down very quickly. So in such a case, you will get the pale color of the meat in a shorter period. So in such a case, if you want to maintain this myoglobin or red color of the meat, then you have to select such a packaging materials that will have interaction with the oxygen molecules, so that you will have some color values maintained for some more period. And another thing, if you take the animals, okay, the cut sections, if you see, there are different parts of the animals we are consuming, and also if you consider the spoilage rate of that particular meat portions, that also will be varying. For example, if you take the meat portions in the, for example, in the rump or leg sections, so there the texture of the meat will be differ than the spinal area. So in such a case, the texture value of the meat also will also relevant to the storage studies or the shelf life of the commodity. Whenever that the meat texture is very harder, it cannot be easily affected by the microbes. So in such a case, it can extend that if the meat surfaces are less in textural value, so it can be affected very easily. Even if you see that offals, internal organs of the animals, so those parts, it can be easily affected by the environmental factor very easily than the meat, other portion. So in such a case, when we go for some processing or some packaging methods, in such a case, what part of that meat you are going to pack it. So based on that also, the barrier properties or the strength of the packaging material, everything which will be there. So the classification of the meat, you can see it is red meat, fall meat, or processed meat. Okay, that processed meat also we are taking into the packaging area. It can be a cured meat or ready to eat meat, fermented sachet or dried meat. Okay, that cured, dried meat, salted meat. So these are all the things also you can get it in the market in different forms. So each materials, when we go for some particular packaging techniques, so in such a case, the selection of packaging materials, otherwise the methods also will be varying. For example, you take the dried meat. If I want to pack the dried meat, okay. So the dried meat, the edges, once it is dried, the edges of the meat will become very sharpened, very hardened. Okay, so in such a case, when you select some plastic film to pack this material, for example, these sharp edges will make puncture in the plastic films. Because of the puncture, sometimes what will happen, some insect infestations will be taking place, fat oxidation will be taking place, okay, that moisture absorption will be taking place. So in such a case, if you take some dried meat, if your packaging material will have higher puncture resistance, so this type of materials when you select, then it can be easily packed in here, properly packed, okay. For example, if you take the fresh meat, okay, the fresh meat will be very softened and the textural value is very less. Okay, so in such a case, when we go for some vacuum packaging method, okay, so according to the surface orientation, the film has to stick on to the product. So in such a case, when you create the vacuum, okay, so these materials it has to fit into the materials like a cling wrapping method. So according to the structures and waves of that product, it will be properly packed. So in such a case, the flexibility, the tensile strength, puncture resistance, everything you have to consider when we go for selecting the packaging material for particular processed food items. In general, there are four packaging materials we are using in the meat products also. For example, glass bottle, metal containers. If you go for some thermally processed food item, canned meat, then we are using metal cans and glass bottles. Sometimes if you want to pack the fresh meat, we are using the plastic-based material. Sometimes if you want to pack the meat in a container for the shipment purpose, secondary packaging purpose, then we are using corrugated boxes or cotton boxes. So when we go for selecting this packaging material, there are different parameters we have to be considered. Okay, which is called the physical protections, barrier, okay, containment, okay, informations, marketing value, security, all these things points it has to be considered when we go for selecting the packaging material for the particular purpose. If you select the plastics, because majority of the fresh meat products are packed in a plastic materials only. So in general, what are the kinds of plastic films are used in the packaging of meat products, which is polyethylene and polypropylene. It is a polyolefin materials, polyethylene and polypropylene, petroleum-based product. And these materials, it has high oxygen what we can say, the element, the diffusion rate, high oxygen rate, the gas diffusion rate will be very fast, very high. But if you see the moisture transfer rate, otherwise we can say water vapor transmission rate for this polyolefin material, it is very less. Okay. And another thing you can see this PVC material, polyvinyl chloride. So that also will be, so it is also having high oxygen diffusion rate, but and also will have low in the water vapor transmission rate. Okay, so like that polyethylene terephthalate, even that is CPET, okay, crystalline polyethylene terephthalate. Okay, CPET is used in the meat packaging industry because some of the meat items we will keep it at a lower temperature, minus 23 degrees centigrade, minus 40 degrees centigrade. So sometimes the plastic materials will act as like a glass material. So brittleness will be there. So, but if you use this polyethylene terephthalate CPET material, it can store the product at a very low temperature also. And we are using this polyamide when we go for some multi-layer materials. Okay, that nylon will have very good flexibility. So when we go for some vacuum packed meat, so these polyamide materials, nylon-based materials are used. Apart from that, this polyvinyl chloride, otherwise EVOH, ethylene vinyl alcohol. So these type of polymer materials are also used wherever you want to increase the oxygen barrier, wherever you want to increase the moisture barrier, then you can use this type of materials also. And this is the some examples of the material properties, okay? Because when you select some materials, normally we have to see the physical strength, okay? That mechanical strength of the packaging material, the tensile strength, they will call it tensile strength. And we have to check the barrier properties. Particularly, we will check the gas barrier properties of the packaging material, OTR, and moisture, water transmission rate, water vapor transmission rate, okay? So that they will check. And apart from that, we will check the light transmission rate, because sometimes what will happen due to the light transmissions, the color pigments which will easily degrade in the meat items. Already due to the absence of oxygen, this myoglobin converted to oxymyoglobin. So that things will be taking place, okay, in the presence of oxygen. And similarly, the meat product, packed meat product, if it is exposure to the lights, so that lights also will degrade the color pigment, so the color changes will occur. So we have to calculate what is the light transmission rate in in your selected packaging material, average that S value. Okay, so these are all the things. Sealing temperature, particularly when you go for retard packaging or something, then we have to check the sealing temperature of the packaging material. These are all the things also very important when you select the packaging material for packing of meat and meat products. When we say the barrier, okay, as I told you, the gas barrier, otherwise it can be a moisture barrier. So here main gases which will causes the quality changes in the meat, which is particularly oxygen. Either it will support the growth of microorganism, otherwise it will support the oxidation reactions. So in fat oxidation, in both the cases, the spoilage will be occurring very fast where the oxygen level is higher. So in such a case, the packaging material what you are selecting, you should have very good barrier properties for the oxygen. So as I told you, this ethylene vinyl alcohol, so it has very low diffusion rate. Otherwise, we can call it high barrier properties, particularly with the oxygen. So in such a case, you can select such a high barrier material. And another thing, for example, if you want to avoid the light intrusions into the packaging material, okay, into the product, then you can go for metallized film, otherwise laminated films. Okay, so in such a case, that will filter the UV light, otherwise that will filter the light sources, so that there will not be any changes in the color value of the packed product. And another thing, when we say the types of packaging, one is called that single layer packing. For example, here only one layer. For example, it can be a polyethylene, or it can be a polypropylene, or it can be a polyamide. We have single layer material. It is used for packing of the fresh meat product. So that will be called a single layer packaging material. In general, we can call it as the cling wrapping also. So what we'll do, so for example, if you take the minced meat, or if you take the meat portions, so that can be packed by using the cling film wrapping method, by using either it can be a polyethylene, polyamide, nylon, or PVC or PP material. So that can be tightly packed and it can be put in the frozen condition. So these type of things which will be called a single layer packing materials. And another thing, we have multi-layer. So wherever we want to extend the shelf life, for example, this single layer material, you may have the shelf life of the product at a particular temperature. If it is stored at minus 28 degree or minus 40 degree, then you may have the shelf life for 1 month, 15 days, something like that. And if you want to store the same product at 5 degrees centigrade or 7 degrees centigrade, then you may have the shelf life extensions for 5 days, 7 days. So in such a case, selecting the number of layers and selecting the particular temperature. So based on these combinations, we can predict what will be the shelf life of such a commodity. So in such a case, this multi-layer material, for example, if you select that polyethylene terephthalate along with that metallized polyethylene terephthalate with the polyethylene, okay, so there will be 3 layers and each layer will have different micron thickness. Okay, for example, if you take that polyethylene terephthalate, you may have some 45 micron thickness. Met polyethylene in the middle layer we may have some 20 to 25 micron thickness. Inner layer will have some 20 microns or 15 micron. So that polyethylene will have very good sealing strength. So heat sealable material. And the outer layer it can be used for the printing. Otherwise, it have very high mechanical strength, high puncture resistance material. And the middle layer will be protecting your material from the barrier of the gases, moisture, and the like. So like that, when you select such a combinations, so that can be also supporting the extension of the shelf life during the storage period. So you can see there are many combination of these multi-layer materials are used for different kinds of meat. For either it can be a buffalo meat or it can be a pork meat or it can be a goat meat. So based on that, the tenderness, based on that the freshness value, based on the parts of that material, you can select what will be your expected shelf life of the product. Then you can select accordingly the thickness and the types of packaging materials for your product. And another thing you can see the commercial product which is available. One is called the box type of method. So here you can see that vacuum pack, particularly that vacuum packed meat by using polyethylene or what we can say that polyamide material. It can be packed by using a vacuum packaging method. Then it can be packed in the thermocol box. For example, polystyrene boxes where it has the thermal insulation. Then these boxes, it can be put in corrugated boxes to get more rigidity and have more mechanical strength. So that can be for transporting these meat products from one place to another places. So boxes are used. And another thing you can have this wrapping films. Okay, so these wrapping films sometimes the plastic films are used. Otherwise, you can use the shrink film. Otherwise, even you can see that papers. The papers are also used for wrapping the meat product, particularly if you see the parchment paper. Okay, this parchment paper will not have stickiness with the meat surfaces because sometimes if you select the craft paper, so this craft paper will stick onto the meat, and once it becoming dryness, then it will be the removal of the paper material will be very tedious process. So in such a case, this parchment paper will not stick onto the meat material, so that can be used in the packing of that fresh meat for sales purpose. And apart from that, we have that tray wrapping. Either it can be a what we can say that MAP modified atmosphere tray wrapping, otherwise it can be a cling wrapping method. So you can use any kinds of packaging equipment for packing such products. Okay. And another thing, there are some advanced technology which is in the meat packaging area, particularly that vacuum packaging we are using, skin packaging methods. As I told you, the cling wrapping method that we are using it. Modified atmosphere packaging. Okay, so what we will do, we will take the product in a particular pouches or packet. In that, we will minimize the oxygen level and we will increase the nitrogen and the carbon dioxide level so that we can control that oxidation effect. Also, we can control the microbial growth rate. So, in such a case, MAP technologies are available. Controlled atmosphere packaging. Throughout the storage period, we can maintain the gas composition level. We can maintain the temperature of the stored product. So that will be comes under the controlled atmosphere packaging. Then we have that active packaging. Okay, so by adding some scavengers, absorbers, we can modify the environmental. Based on that, we can extend the shelf life of the product. And another thing, intelligent packaging. So not only we are safeguarding our product, and time to time we are understanding what is the quality of the product. Continuously the quality of the product. So that is called intelligent packaging. So by using different kinds of sensors, by using different kinds of biomarkers, by using different kinds of freshness indicator. So these intelligent packagings are also highly used in the meat and meat products. So the technology wise, if you see that vacuum packaging, so here what we will do, we will take the materials, our meat samples in a flexible packaging material. Okay, for example, this PE, PP or PA polyamide material, and by using this vacuum packaging machines, we will completely remove the air level. So here one thing is, whenever we go for this vacuum packaging method, initially you have to you have to store the product in the meat. So the meat product, it should be stored in the cold storage, and after it's becoming little bit harder, then you can go for vacuum packaging. For example, if you take the fresh meat, then directly if you put it in the cover and if you apply the vacuum, what will happen? The juiciness in the meat, which will comes out, and that will causes that bad appealing of your packed product. So in such a case, first you can frozen the product, then you can put it in a cover, will have higher flexibility, then you can go for what we can say the vacuum packaging. And this vacuum packed product, it can be stored at the lower temperature. So, for example, you can say that minus 23 degrees centigrade. Under this temperature, it can be stayed for a longer period. Okay. So, this is one technology we are having. And another thing, you can have this modified atmosphere packaging. Okay. So, there are modified tray packing method. For example, this modified atmosphere packaging technology, it is available for pouches. It is available for the tray packing methods also. Some people, they will fill the product in the tray. For example, the tray can be made by we can say that the polyamide, or it can be made by that PET material. Okay, so otherwise it can be a PVC tray material. So in that product can be taken, and we can remove the air from the packet, and we can apply a known concentration of that carbon dioxide, oxygen, and nitrogen, so that we can extend the shelf life of the product. So in general, the meat products, it can be packed with a modified atmospheric condition. For example, increasing the CO2 level 20 to 30%, and similarly that nitrogen content 70 to 80%, and also that minimum level of that oxygen it has to be given. Okay, so in such a case, you can extend the shelf life of the product. And whenever we have this MAP, modified atmospheric packed product, it should be stored in the cold storage condition, otherwise it should be stored in the lower temperature. And another things, we have that controlled atmosphere packaging. So in such a case, throughout the storage period, we will monitor, or we will have controlling mechanisms of the gases temperature of that particular product, so that it can be having a very good shelf life. Okay, so that is very case. And another thing, you can have this microbial stability in the modified atmosphere packaging. For example, in that modified atmosphere packaging also, we have active packaging and the passive packaging. So this passive packaging, according to the permeation characteristics of the packaging film, according to the storage temperature, so that modification will be taking place in the product. Otherwise, if you have that active packaging, you can have some active component into the packaging material, into the product. So based on that, the gas composition level will vary, and that will support you to extend the shelf life of the product. So in such a case, if you see the bacterial growth where your meat products are packed in a plastic cover, and if you have a MAP concept and the products are packed in MAP gas concentrated pouch material, so automatically you can see the bacterial growth rate is very less in the MAP packed product when compared to air packed. And another thing, you can have the reduction of the microbial count. Okay, for example, according to the storage temperature, when we store the meat at 4 degree and 10 degree in the same packet, okay, either it can be a vacuum or MAP. So that time also you can see the microbial the growth rate, it is decreasing when it is stored at lower temperature, and it is getting increased trend when it is stored at higher temperatures. So in such a case, the selection of packaging methods and technology, along with the storage temperature, that also will play a major role the quality of the shelf life of the product. Another thing, that is the skin packaging, particularly if you see that sausage type of product. Okay, otherwise if you take the cut meat portions of particular parts of the animals, so something you want to pack it. Okay, so in such a case, they will go for the skin packaging. Either they may use a flexible film for making that skin packaging, Otherwise, they may use a combination of composite material, rigid container with a flexible packaging material. So both the things it can be used. For example, if you take in this sausage, the bottom layer will be a very thick layer and the top layer will be a very thin layer. Okay, so the thin layer which can shrink according to the vacuumized condition, it can shrink, it can it can have the orientation along with the product direction. Apart from that, we have this tray packing that is also comes under skin packing. They will call it skin packing. So in such a case, the product it can be placed on a tray. After that, it can be the product will be placed over that a thin film can be applied. Creating the vacuum will cause us properly packed, hermetically sealed. They will call it hermetically sealed packet. Okay, so once it is hermetically sealed, there will not be any termination of gases and moisture. So this type of skin packaging are used. Another thing, active packaging. Okay, as I told you, by using some additional or external materials such as absorbers, scavengers, or emitters into the packaging system. So by introducing such a component, we can modify the gas composition inside the package, or we can minimize the microwave load. Okay, that environment. For example, ethanol emitter. Okay, that ethanol emitter. When we keep the ethanol emitter inside the package, that ethanol emitter will make the environment free from microorganisms. So your meat products will be safely stay for longer period. So whenever you are adding this type of additional component into the package for improving the quality or safety of the product, that will be called active packaging systems. Okay. When we say that active packaging systems, it is very safe and the products will have normally to not have a direct contact. It's very safe for packing also. And another thing, if you see the limitations, one is the cost of the packaging materials, because it will add cost to the packaging method, but it will support you in the quality and safety of the product. Okay, so and also, for example, what are the absorber you are using? It can't be reusable. Okay, so in such a case, what is the absorber you are using? Either it can be a chemical based or biological based absorber. Anything you are using, it can be reusable. That is another limitations in the usage of absorbers in the packaging systems. But many of the developed countries, they are using this active packaging and intelligent packaging for their product. So the quality will not be compromised. So that can satisfy the consumer's demand. And another thing, intelligent packaging. Okay. So during that storage period, okay, by keeping the markers, by keeping the sensors, okay, regularly we can monitor the internal quality of the product. Either it can be the freshness of the meat, it can be the pH value, otherwise it can be a quality changes, odor changes, okay, otherwise it can be a microbial growth, whatever maybe, it can be easily monitored by fixing a particular sensing device into the packaging so that it can give the safety alarm to the consumers. So you can see the intelligent packaging, either they may use time temperature indicators are there, freshness indicators are there, microbial indicators are there, okay, gas indicators are there. Okay, so our food items, it can be affected by many environmental factors and there may be changes in the product. But what are the changes? As I told you, what are the possibilities due to temperature and the time differences? Changes will come. So we can easily monitor that particular time durations or the storage condition. Based on that also easily we can develop a model to integrate to calculate the quality of the meat products. Okay, so there are many sensors you can see it is available. Okay, for example, that is spoilage. For example, the sensor input, we can develop the algorithms by taking the input values of that is spoilage factors only. For example, you take that protein, if it is converted to amino acids. Okay, so that based on measuring that amino acid level, then also we can easily quantify what is the available protein. Otherwise, based on that available protein, we can categorize what kind of quality of the meat. Okay, and another thing, the physiological changes, the respiration rate. What is the amount of oxygen inside the package, what is the amount of carbon dioxide increasing inside the packed conditions. So based on that also we can easily, based on the respiration rate, physiological changes, we can easily correlate the internal quality of the meat. Okay, so like that, the input parameter based on your product you can select, and you can develop the algorithms for running the sensor component or developing the intelligent packaging. And there are a lot of demand, particularly in the intelligent packaging, and there are some intelligent packaging only available in our country. We are using it for the meat and dairy product, and there are a lot of scopes are there for introducing this type of indicators in the highly perishable commodity, so that in the future people, by seeing this marking system, they are safely they will buy the processed meat. Until otherwise, it is converting the mindset of the peoples, okay, switching over from buying the fresh meat from the butcher shop to purchasing the packed meat. So these type of techniques really will helpful to the consumers and the producer to improve the capacity of the meat sales. Another technology we have that canning. So it is a very old technology. Still, it is majority of the very big players, they are using this canned meat product. Okay, so only the thing is you have to optimize the pressure and the temperature of the processing conditions. Okay, so normally the tin cans, okay, for example, tin coated cans are used, and also when we go for packing of some particular meat items, okay, for example, the selection of the medium brine, what you are selecting, okay, based on that internal lacquers coating, okay, it should be the thickness of lacquers coating also will be varied, okay, so that is very important. And this type of cans, particularly the 2-piece cans and 3-piece cans, according to the can opener, so it is also available. And this type of product, which is called self-stable commodity, once it is processed, and it is no need to store at a lower temperature, you can store it at open temperature. Sometimes the canned material, cost of the canned material is very high. So to overcome that, nowadays retortable pouches, okay, a multi-layer materials are used for packing of this meat product. Even nowadays, the ready to eat, the meat gravy, chicken gravies are coming in the market. Even these type of products are packed in a microwave ovenable pouches. So directly you can put it in the microwave oven, and you can thaw it, and you can consume directly after opening. So these type of things are also coming in the market, particularly in the thermally processed meat items. The last, whenever we sell the product, the processed meat in the Indian market, so this FSSAI guidelines, it has to be followed. So this packaging materials and methods of labeling, or the labeling descriptions, everything it has to be followed. Such as this data manufacturing, data packaging, okay, lot number, best before use, use by date, all these things it has to be mentioned in the product. When we talk about the plastics, okay, so normally this BIS standard food grade packaging materials are used for packing of the meat products. And apart from that, when we go for this labeling, okay, all pre-packed food items, you should have the labels, as I told you, what are the things it has to be placed. For example, name of the product, company, manufacturer details, address, date of manufacturing, expiry date, MRP price, FSSAI license number. So all these things it has to be labeled in the products. And the label, it should not be easily taken away from the packed materials. So that is also will be important parameters. And whenever we talk about these canned food items, okay, it is thermally sterilized food items. So even if it is thermally treated, okay, after that we will keep the food items at a 2 different temperature, 35 degrees centigrade for 10 days and 55 degrees centigrade for 5 days. Under this temperature, there should not have any changes in the dimensions or in the physical appearance of the canned material. Then it is considered as properly sterile product. And another thing, normally that E. coli, the salmonella, so these contents should be nil. It should not be present in the processed meats. That is also very important. Okay, and also whenever you select, sometimes the food items will have the sulfur resistance. So in such a case, you have to increase the lacquer coatings. The internal coating of your lacquers should be in higher level, more micron thickness, so that you can avoid sulfur conduct or corrosion actions will be taken in the metal contents. And another thing is controlling this Clostridium botulinum, because this is the highest heat tolerance microorganisms. So normally this type of meat products, when it is sterilized at 121.1 degrees centigrade at different time durations, because it will be varying with the cooking value, C0 value and the F0 value. It will be varying with the different parts of the meat product and different tenderness value of the meat. So it has to be standardized, but at the maximum highest temperature we can go 121.1 degree, 1 degree centigrade. Okay. Apart from that, FDA, as per the FDA regulations, if you use this GMP, GNP, okay, all this HACCP, okay, ISO certifications, all these things, when you use it in your industry, so definitely you can sell a properly processed and highly quality satisfied materials to the consumers, so that your company can stand longer and will have very good opportunity to make big changes in the meat industries. And there are other organizations apart from our FSSI, when we want to export your meat samples, and APIDA has given standards for packaging regulations, quantity wise, and the Bureau of Indian Standards, they are giving what we can say the packaging method, the highest standard for particular food grade packaging method, what we want to use it. Apart from that, nowadays, you can see even in our Indian market, these non-thermally processed food items, particularly by using high pressure processing, irradiated meats, are coming in the market, and these are the things also having high market potential in the export level. So in such a case, the usage of FDA regulation, World Health Organizations, particularly the selection of the packaging materials for the irradiated foods and the high pressure processed foods. These are all the things also very much needed in the current scenario to improve the productivity and the sales value in the Indian market. With that, I thank our director and the organizers of PMFME team for giving this opportunity to share some of the highlights, the packaging trend and scenario in the meat industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now we are moving towards the last but not the least session, which is on PMFME scheme guidelines and features. This session will be taken by the Mr. Vijay. He's a young professional in PMFME. So please, I'm handing over to the Vijay. Thank you.
Myself going to take this section. Basically, this scheme implemented by MOFA, Ministry of Food Processing Industries, to formalize the micro food processing sector. So coming to the objective of this scheme, objective of this scheme is providing the increase the accession time of loan by existing micro food processing entrepreneurs, in further aiming supporting FBOs, SHS and cooperatives. It also aim at providing the professional technical hand-holding support to micro enterprises, which will help in formalizing the micro food processing sector. Then it also focus on the strengthening of institution at state level, district level, research institution in food processing sector. And next is aim at developing increase the common incubation facility service like incubation facilities at a district level. It also providing the hand-holding support. The scheme on formalize the unorganized micro enterprises, FBOs and SHGs to make investment and upscale their operation, thereby the support for the transition of exiting 2 lakh enterprises in the formal framework. This is PMFME scheme objectives. So coming to the scheme main features. So the scheme actually is based on the ODOP approach. Here we are talking about the meat and poultry processing value addition. So the total outlay of the scheme 10,000 crore for the period of 5 years up to 2020 to 2025. Then here you can see the sharing pattern where the Government of India, MOFI, directly implementing the scheme along with the state nodal officials and the district level partner also is there. So Coming to the benefit of the PMFME schemes, the funding support can be the provided for the upgradation of existing micro unit as well as the new unit. The time of credit linked subsidy of the 35% of the maximum ceiling amount, rupees 10 lakh rupees actually. In the beneficiary contribution, should be minimum 10% of the project cost will be balance being available as a loan from the bank. In addition, seed capital support is also available. The self-help group up to the 40,000 rupees per member. And there is the state level marketing and branding support around the 50% of the grant for the government organization, so they can apply for the common brand for under the scheme. And there is the support for establishing common incubation center with 100% funding support for government organization, 50% funding support for in case of private institution or organization. So coming to the support of the PMFME schemes, there is a no age limit and education qualification required for the applying under the scheme. Existing unit as well as new unit, we can apply both ODOP and non-ODOP products. Okay, the enterprises will be eligible for the loan even if bank loan available in any other central or state government schemes. As I said earlier, beneficiary contribution should be 10% of the total project cost, and the working capital support at the rate of 40,000 rupees for per SKG member will be given by to SKG Federation. So one more support also given by PMFME scheme, that marketing and branding support can be channelized through the state nodal agency. So they will be putting up the proposal of ministry, then the further scrutiny process will follow by the ministry. So coming to the PMFME scheme, how to apply this process and all. So all exiting unit or new unit have to apply through the online portal. So that a group application apply with the DPR to state nodal agency, which undergo the preliminary scrutiny by the nodal agency. To apply the common incubation facility, separate online portal is there on our NIPTAM Tanjavur website. Okay. So coming to the capacity building component support. So now we will move on to the next another important component of the that PMFME scheme. So capacity building, which involves the providing the training to all stakeholders of the scheme in the form of to accept. One is the product specific training, another one is the entrepreneurship development. One is the product specific training focus on the domain knowledge, like machineries involved, packaging, accept, value addition with respect to the micro enterprises, marketing, branding, etc. And the entrepreneurship oriented development focus on the functional aspect of running business involving the various business opportunities, DPR preparation, which is the most important factor when you are going to for any kind of financial support in the term of loan, subsidy, and skill needed for the business management. Also, it's covered the regulation and the registration process required for the starting the enterprises. The majority of training are conducted in online mode, where the beneficiary training are conducted in physical mode for better transmission of knowledge and the import of the content of knowledge. So coming to the level of master training under the PMFME schemes. So basically, there are the food subsector or domain on which on the master level training is conducted by various national level research institution, including our institute, NIPTAM Tanjavur, NIPTAM Kundli, CFTR Mysore, SIFT Kochi, like that. That based on the whatever domain they are taking care of. So under the scheme, we have 9 domains. You can see the screen, like fruit and vegetable processing, grain processing, milk and milk processing, fat and oil seed processing, fish and marine products, spice and plantation, bakery and confectionery, minor produce, meat and poultry processing. This and all 9 product domains we are covering actually under the scheme. So coming to the level of trainings. So once that master training are qualified at the state level, this master trainers will be provided to train district level officials and district level trainers and district resource persons. Here district resource persons are responsible for providing hand-holding support to beneficiaries for the preparation of DPR, online submission of the application, and document area for the application process. So they are trained by master trainers about the schemes and the food domain sector in details. Once they qualified, then they will be eligible to provide the support to the beneficiaries. The ultimately beneficiary will training from the district level trainers. The district level trainers will give training to the various categories beneficiaries like new or exiting enterprises who have already applied or those who wish to apply the under this scheme. Okay. So coming to the Niftam Tanjavur developed food-based training model. What are the training model we developed? We are keeping here. So the food training based training model developed in Niftam Tanjavur for beneficiaries. Total 98 ODOP processor product have been uploaded on our website. So I will take it to the website demo actually. It's visible. So this is our next time Tanjavur main website actually. Here different tabs will be there. Last final tab that the PMFME schemes. So after touching the PMFME tab, we will get home page and capacity building, incubation, training material, ODOP, webinar material, scheme guidelines, report, and all we are getting. So first we will go to training material of ODOP tab. Then after that, clicking the training material ODOP tab, now you can see the domain-wise separation of the products. If you select fruit and vegetable product, we have uploaded numerous products, value-added products from the different kind of fruit and vegetables. So I select one for first thing that Goa processing training model for the PMFME scheme. For that we covered including the processing PPT demonstration video which will be available in regional also, and packaging specification for the specified products, and FSSA standards for regulation standards and the regulation required, and a model DPR also we covered all fruit and vegetable domains. So coming to the creation of common incubation is visible. Common incubation facility centers. Basically, it is created for the ODOP and allied product for running for the commercial basis business, like to support the established common incubation facilities and allied product to utilize the established common incubation facility on the commercial basis. This and all we covered objective of the schemes. Silent feature of common incubation facilities, normally the primary processing line, secondary processing line, and tertiary processing and packaging and storage and the effluent treatment plant, also including the common incubation facilities. It is created for the one or more product like one ODOP line or and 2 or 3 allied product line which in non-ODOP line. So here you can see the cost now leave by the ministry for setting up the common incubation facility. Here 3 to 5 processing line has to be there, and capacity should be 1 to 2 ton per day for ODOP and allied produce, and including that primary, secondary, tertiary raw material, finished product storage, packaging will be cost approximately around the 200 lakhs. And flooring the minor renovation of the existing building, electricity connection, other auxiliary unit like boiler, RO plant, ETP plant, also the ministry providing funding around the 50 lakh rupees. And if you want to create a food testing lab inside the incubation center, 25 lakh separately allotted for the total cost of around the 275 lakhs. So these are all basic equipment required for the food testing lab. as earlier I told that the basic equipment total cost 25 lakhs. So for that, like example, hot oven, apparatus, protein apparatus, fiber analyzer, muffled furnace, weighing balance, this under covering total cost approximately 25 lakhs. So coming to the funding detail of that PMFME schemes. So in case of government institution, 100% PMFM scheme we can avail. In case of private agency, 50% PMFM scheme, 50% private agency we can avail. In case of private agency in tribal district, 60% of PMFM scheme, 40% of private agency we can cover by under PMFME scheme. This and all we covered PMFMEs. So if you have any queries later to this section, post in chat box, we will rectify it. Thank you very much.
On the behalf of Lifton Thanjavur and PMFME scheme, I formally announce the webinar is over. Thank you all for joining us with us. Thank you so much.